Welcome back to the channel, guys. As you just saw, we got all the masking off the car. We actually took that masking off a couple of hours after I painted the car, and it's actually a couple of days later here now. So what I'm going to end up doing today is getting the bumpers put on the car to get them out of the way. It'll probably be temporary because I've got some more work to do on the bumpers, and I'm also going to put the hood back on the car to get it out of the way, and it'll allow me to work on the car and work my way around it to get the clear coat, you know, resolved, all the little issues resolved. So I'm going to take a razor blade and some sandpaper, and I'll be working all around the car trying to get some of these clear coat mistakes fixed, and then we'll work toward cutting the rest of the car and buffing it out. Alright, I'm going to start working my way around the car with a razor blade. You can see a little bit right here where there's some dust or lint that had hit the clear coat. It's a raised spot. So I'm going to take this razor blade and just take it perpendicular, or actually parallel to the surface, and kind of hit that high spot and scrape it off very gently. Alright, now here is the worst spot on the car. It's on the passenger side door near the front. It's a pretty thick run. I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did with those dirt nibs, except I'm just going to have to do a lot more here to get it leveled out. Alright, you can see that it's getting a lot better. I've still got a raised spot down here toward the bottom, so I'm going to keep going. Alright, now that I've got most of that run out, I'm going to leave the rest of it because I'm still going to go back over it with either 1500 or 3000, the 3M Trizac pad, so it will smooth this out even more. So I'm going to move down to this other run on the lower door. Alright, I grabbed a K2000 sanding pad. I'm just going to use my finger here and knock down these high spots. So I made my way all the way around the car and got the dirt nibs and the runs out. And my next step is actually going to take some 2000 grit on a flat block and dry sand the orange peel out. Now I'm going to see how that does. If I have to go more aggressive, I may need to step it down to 1500 grit. Alright, since that 2000 grit dry was clogging up my paper, I'm going to grab a bucket of water and actually I'm going to wet sand. It's a little tougher to wet sand because you can't see how much you're sanding out. You can't really see the orange peel going away. You have to wipe it off and let it dry. But it makes the sandpaper last a lot longer. So that's what I'm going to do here. There's not a ton of orange peel up here. There's just some certain spots that I'm going to hit. And I'm going to work my way around wet sanding and then we can check and hit the spots that may need a little bit more attention. Now I'm not trying to get rid of all of the orange peel, I'm just trying to even out the surface so when I buff it out it'll all look consistent. Alright, well I ran out of sandpaper last night, so I went ahead and called it an early night. But I just got back from the store this morning and I picked up some 1500 grit and 2000 grit. So I'm going to step down to 1500 grit because there is some orange peel over here on this passenger side lower door that I really want to knock out. So I'm going to step it down to that and I'm going to just keep working my way around the car. Alright, I'm going to step it up to 2000 grit. We got most of the orange peel out with the 1500. I don't want to get too aggressive with it. The 2000 should take it down a little bit further and then we'll go over it again with 3000 right before polishing it up. Alright, with the car completely sanded with 2000 grit everywhere that I want to, I'm going to move it up to 3000. I'm going to use this 3M Trizact foam disc pad. I'm going to put it on a DA with a foam backing pad as well. That way I don't hit any corners too hard. And I'm going to hit all the surfaces that I've sanded with 2000, and I'll probably hit some of those areas that I haven't sanded yet just to help smooth it out a little bit more to get it ready for buffing. Well, the DA was generating too much heat, so I went ahead and just put the 3000 grit pad on a sanding block, and I'm gonna just do it by hand. Okay, I covered up the other CRX because I'm going to move on to buffing out the car. So I don't know if I'm going to use a wool pad yet. I'm going to try to get away with using the yellow cutting pad and then moving on to the black polishing pad. And with the yellow one, I'm going to use the 3M Perfected 36060 medium cut compound. And then with the black final polishing, it'll just be the 06068 Perfected Ultra Fine Machine Polish. So I'm going to give the yellow pad a try, and if it's not really cutting through the scratches on the car, I'm going to bust out the wool pad and use the same compound on it. Also, for the buffer, I'm really just going to be using the Chicago Harbor Freight rotary polisher. all done with the yellow cutting pad, I'm going to move over to the black polishing pad and the ultrafine machine polish. Well, there it is. The car is all polished up. So I went through 1500, 2000, and 3000, various different ways, the DA by hand, and I also used the medium cut compound and then the final polish on the two separate pads. And I think it came out pretty nice. The next thing to do is to actually start putting more things on the car. I actually am waiting on a bumper mesh to go in here. The mesh that was on there was pretty beat up and it was silver. I think I'm going to go with something a little bit different up front. I need to get some bumper lights and some corner lights as well. And then we're going to really start putting this thing back together. I did not get a chance to get to the sunroof today. It still needs to be sanded down, wet sanded and buffed out, but since that's just a small flat panel, it should take no time at all to get that done. So we'll keep putting the car together and we'll catch you in the next episode.